The book that we're going to start reading today is called Jumanji, and if you notice, it is from the movie. Okay, but this is how it all started. Okay, I think there's 3 movies right now, but none of them really follow this book except for that first movie. And this book was written by Chris Van Allsburg. He's the same author that wrote The Polar Express, Zathura, and my book actually includes a CD read by Robin Williams, who was one of the main characters in the first Jumanji movie, which actually follows the events in this book loosely. There's some differences. This book also won the Caldecott Medal for illustrations for the year it was published, which was, if you look, 1981. A long time ago. All right. Now remember, Mother said, your father and I are bringing some guests by after the opera, so please keep the house neat. Quite so, added Father, tucking his scarf inside his coat. Mother peered into the hall mirror and carefully pinned her hat in place, then knelt and kissed both children goodbye. When the front door closed, Judy and Peter giggled with delight. They took all the toys out of their toy chest and made a terrible mess. But their laughter slowly turned to silence, till finally Peter slouched into a chair. You know what? He said. I'm really bored. Me too, sighed Judy. Why don't we go outside and play? Peter agreed. So they set off across the street to the park. It was cold for November. The children could see their breath like steam. They rolled in the leaves, and when Judy tried to stuff some leaves down Peter's sweater, he jumped up and ran behind a tree. When his sister caught up with him, he was kneeling at the foot of the tree, looking at a long, thin box. It's a game, said Peter, handing her the box. Jumanji, Judy read from the box. A jungle adventure game. Look, said Peter, pointing to a note taped to the bottom of the box. In a childlike handwriting, there were these words. Free game. Fun for some, but not for all. P.S. Read instructions very carefully. Want to take it home, Judy asked. Not really, said Peter. I'm sure somebody left it here because it's so boring. Oh, come on, protested Judy. Let's give it a try. Race you home. And off she ran with Peter at her heels with the game in her hands. At home, the children spread the game out on a card table. It looked very much like the games they already had. There was a board that unfolded, revealing a path of colored squares. The squares had messages written on them. The path started in the deepest jungle and ended up in Jumanji, a city of golden buildings and towers. Peter began to shake the dice and play with the other pieces that were in the box. Put those down and listen, said Judy. I'm going to read the instructions. Jumanji. A young people's jungle adventure, especially designed for the bored and restless. And continue with the instructions. A, player selects piece and places it in the deepest jungle. B, player rolls dice and moves piece along path through the dangers of the jungle. C, first player to reach Jumanji and yell the city's name aloud is the winner. Is that all? Asked Peter, sounding disappointed. No, said Judy. There's one more thing, and this is in capital letters. D, very important. Once the game of Jumanji is started, it will not be over until one player reaches the Golden City. Ooh. Oh, big deal, said Peter, who gave a bored yawn. Here, said Judy, handing the brother the dice. You go first. Peter usually dropped the dice from his hand. 7, said Judy. Peter moved his piece to the 7th square. Lions attack. Move back 2 squares, read Judy. Gosh, how exciting, said Peter. in a very unexcited voice. As he reached for his piece, he looked up at his sister. She had a look of absolute horror and terror on her face. "Peter," she whispered, "turn around very, very slowly." The boy turned in his chair. He couldn't believe his eyes. Lying on the piano was a lion staring at Peter and licking his lips. The lion roared so loud it knocked Peter right off his chair. The big cat jumped on the floor. Peter was up on his feet, running through the house with the lion a whisker's length behind. That means very close. He ran upstairs and dove under a bed. The lion tried to squeeze under the bed, but got his head stuck. Peter scrambled out, ran from the bedroom, and slammed the door behind him. He stood in the hall and yelled and hauled with Judy, gasping for breath. I don't think," said Peter in between gasps there, "that I want to play this game anymore." "But we have to," said Judy, as she helped Peter back downstairs. "I'm sure that's what the instructions mean. That lion won't go away until one of us wins the game." Peter stood next to the card table. "Can't we just call the zoo and have him taken away?" From upstairs came the sounds of growling and clawing at the bedroom door. "Or maybe we could wait till Father comes home." "No one would come from the zoo because they wouldn't believe us," said Judy. "And you know how upset Mother would be if there was a lion in the bedroom. We started this game and we have to finish it." Peter looked down at the game board. What if Judy rolled a 7? Then there'd be 2 lines. For an instant, Peter thought he was going to cry, but he sat firmly in his chair and said, "Let's play." Judy picked up the dice, rolled an 8, and moved her piece. "Monkeys, steal food, miss one turn," she read. From the kitchen came the sounds of banging pots and falling jars. The children ran in to see a dozen monkeys tearing the room apart. "Oh boy," said Peter. This would upset Mother even more than the lion." "Quick," said Judy, "back to the game." Peter took his turn. Thank heavens he had landed on a blank space. He rolled again. "Monsoon season begins. Lose one turn." Little raindrops began to fall in the living room. Then a roll of thunder shook the walls and scared the monkeys out of the kitchen. The rain began to fall in buckets as Judy took the dice. A monsoon is a very, very heavy rainstorm, and usually it brings a flood, or what they call a deluge. Did I skip a page? No. God gets lost, lose one turn. The rain suddenly stopped. The children turned to see a man hunched over a map. "Oh dear, I say, a spot of bad luck," he murmured. "Perhaps a left turn here, then no, a right turn here. Yes, absolutely, I think a right turn, or maybe..." "Excuse me," said Judy, but the guide just ignored her. "Around here, then over, no, over here, and around this, yes, good, but then, wait a minute, Judy shrugged her shoulders and handed the dice to Peter. So we've had lions, monkeys, and now a monsoon. Let's see what's going to happen tomorrow. Make your predictions.